Very good afternoon and thanks for joining us on Midday Live. We're coming to you from our studios here at the News Hub in Kanda, where the blood donation is ongoing live. Remember that we are still here. You can come through to donate and show love in the month of love. My name is Nanekia Mensah Brampa. Let's go for the headlines for the afternoon. And coming up this afternoon, Accra Metropolitan Assembly tasked to enforce all bylaws governing bus rapid transit. Also, a transport and road engineer says most roads in Ghana are designed for accidents. And on the foreign front, President Donald Trump says his election campaign did nothing wrong as the FBI files charges against 13 Russians for alleged election meddling. So we have the detail of these as well as the latest in sports and business all in the next 1 hour. You'd want to stay with us right here. Let's go for our very first story for the afternoon. And Deputy Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Osei Bonsu-Amoah, has charged the Accra Metropolitan Assembly to enforce all the bylaws governing the bus rapid transits BRT, including ones on dedicated lanes for the Ayalolo buses. Speaking in Accra, he said the AMA cannot put an embargo on the enforcement of these laws. $185 million has so far been invested in the BRT system, made up of $85 million from the World Bank and $100 million from the Ministry of Transport. Speaking at the sidelines of the World Bank-sponsored Urban Transport and Mobility Workshop in Accra, Obi-Amoah stressed that the investments made should not go to waste. The situation has worsened because the AMA has stopped enforcing its bylaws, which dedicate outer lanes within city streets strictly for BRT buses. There are 245 buses at the various terminals that cannot be put on the road due to the challenge. Each bus has a capacity of carrying 86 passengers, with 40 seated and 46 standing. The Ayalolo buses are now competing with other vehicles for the dedicated lanes and bus stops, making the deployment of these buses difficult.
If you go to Gapte now, the trotros and other vehicles who park in their lane, they tow them away. There's no way AMA can tell the whole world that because a car was towed, then the whole policy should cease. It would be a very wrong policy for anybody to say that because one big man was affected, the enforcement should cease. I will not endorse it. I don't think that's what the AMA or the mayor will say anywhere. Otherwise, then the whole system should be scrapped.
He hinted some investments likely to come in from EcoBank.
The funding to even run the whole thing is now hanging to the extent that EcoBank wants to step in to be able to take care of how the logistics and staff and everything. So that is the structure thing that we have inherited and we need to address.
Chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Roads and Transport, Samuel Ayepe, expressed worry the World Bank may stop providing additional funding for the bus rapid transit project.
You don't need them, and if you don't need them, why should we come and add more? They paid a courtesy call at my office yesterday morning. I'm talking about the World Bank Group, and listening to them, they even have more grants that they want to add. But it seems the letter that has been given to us, we are not utilizing them. So how do we expect them to come and add more?
Meanwhile, a transport and road engineer says most roads in Ghana are designed for accidents. Now, according to Dr. Kamenta Bese, who is also the road safety advocate, engineers do not follow design standards that will ensure accidents are eliminated or reduced. Dr. Bese spoke with my colleague Alfredo Kansi on News at 10 on Friday.
And I can tell you on authority that most of our roads are designed for accidents.
Most of our roads are designed for accidents.
The road from Accra to Cape Coast was done and asphalted as far back, if I can remember, as 1994.
Yeah.
Go back on the Accra to Cape Coast road and even go beyond to Takrady. Look at the road signs that say X number of people have died on the spot. Just count them. You'll be amazed. 300 we are talking about on the N1 is way, way lower than the number of people who have lost their lives on the road. And that is simply because the road was designed for accidents, bottom line.
No, Doc, I want to find out from you exactly what you mean by the roads in this country. Most of them have been designed for accidents. What exactly do you mean by that?
In very simple terms, we do not follow the design standards that will eliminate the sort of accidents that we've been getting. And the simple reason why we do not design according to the standards is because of money. We have what we call vertical and horizontal alignment design. The vertical design alignment is when you are going on a hill. The horizontal alignment is when you are going on a bend.
Okay.
Now, there are international standards based on sight distance. If you are going around a bend, there is a sight distance that you must be able to see. If you are going on a hill, there is a sight distance that you must be able to see to make it standard, especially if you are talking about a highway. Because the roads, remember, the roads have got various classes. So if you don't apply the standards, because according to our people, our engineers in this country, if you apply the standards, the construction of the road will be expensive. And that is true. But let's take a step back. What is the value of a life?
Absolutely. And Doc, that's why it brings me up to this question, because if you're talking about the fact that these roads that are being constructed, because of the cost element, engineers say to you that they cannot adhere to standards, then what's the relevance of having engineers at the Ghana Highways Authority, Roads and Highways, Ministry of Transport, and those other agencies that are supposed to ensure that roads are constructed to fit or to meet the standards and to prevent accidents? I mean, if we have to escape the cost and sacrifice lives for that reason?
You have asked a very relevant question. And to this, I'll say that I have sympathy for the engineers who are given this honor task of doing this job, and also for the politicians. Now, the reason is simple. We have this amount of resources. We have to make X number of roads motorable. Are we going to spend all the money on just one road, or we have to stretch the resources to cover more roads? That is the dilemma of the engineer, of the politician. And that is why some of these shortcuts are done, because to do the road according to the standard will mean, for example, you can only do from Accra to Cape Coast,
right,
but you cannot go beyond to Takrady, let's say.
All right, so you're watching Midday Live, and let's move on to issues bothering security, because a recent Kwabenya armed gang attack that claimed the life of Chief Inspector Asilevi would have been prevented if investigators know their job. Now, addressing a training course in Accra, Director General of Police, CID, DCOP Mame Tiwa Ado Dankwa admitted none of the CID personnel there had formal training criminal investigations.
Within Accra region, we have only 30% of investigators who have actually been trained. So when you move to the regions, Upper East, Upper West, you can have maybe one trained investigator manning the whole district. And as investigator, one thing that you need to do when you are doing serious case like armed robbery is to profile the suspect. You take the fingerprints, you take the pictures, and you take the pictures in such a way that you take the front, you take the side, and then you take the back. When we had this Kwabena incident, one thing that came out was that we didn't have the 7th person's picture. Initially, I thought the investigators didn't do their work well. But when I inquired, I realized that they have not been trained. Do you blame them? If you don't know, you can't do it. How come Kwabena was attacked and nobody had a clue? Do we have our intelligence system working? Do we talk to people? And we are told that people were discussing it in the cells, but we didn't know. All that we got to know was that Kwabena was attacked. As investigators, we should move away from reactive policing to proactive. Why do we have to wait for crimes to be committed before we run going after suspects? Is there something that we can do to even prevent the crime from happening in the first place? You need to have a broad mind.
Right, and Adam Bona is a security expert, and he joins me via Skype to look into the matter. Adam, good afternoon, and we're grateful for your time this afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to you.
Now, does it come to you as a surprise, the admission that this matter could have been averted?
Well, no, it doesn't come to me as a surprise. Not at all. I think before she made this statement recently at one of their workshops and training, I had, over the years, I mean, I kept up maybe, I think I've actually even mentioned it on your network, that we have ill-trained police CID, and therefore it's the reason why most crimes in this country have not been solved. And so it does not come to me as a surprise at all. She gave an indication of 30% within the Greater Accra, probably Tema region. But my checks, in fact, as at last year, last 2 years, the number was quite low. It was around 20%. And so it tells you that the average we have as a nation is about 15%, between 10 to 15% of all CID investigators have been trained. It tells you it's, I mean, confronting crime. If we don't deal with this canker, we are not going anywhere.
Now,
but
so,
it's also, yeah, go on.
So I wanted to find out, how would you grade the intelligence mechanism of the police, looking at how the whole thing was plotted and how I would say it looked like an action move. It was carried out. What would be your grade for the police intelligence mechanism?
Oh, in fact, I'll give them 0. I mean,
you give them what?
Probably if I could do a negative.
You said you'll give them...
I'll give them 0.
Why?
0.
Why?
I mean, yeah, because the truth is that if you look at where the Kwabena police station is, not, this is a police post that we conveniently converted, have, you know, metamorphosed into a police station. We shouldn't be. I give them 0 for probably 2-3 reasons. One, there are certain types of criminals or certain types of suspects are not supposed to be held up in a certain type of cells. And then secondly, when you want to keep these people there and move them to a stronger holding cell, you have to make sure your enforcement mechanism is bigger. It means you must have the patrol team, or you must have reinforcement.
Adam, are you suggesting that the training standards within the police service is not up to that standard we are looking at, grading them 0 with regards to intelligence?
If you look at it, I am not actually sure, even though, I mean, so I have said it over and over. But it is good to hear the CID boss come out and say it. I'm happy when we have, you know, security couples, when we have CID officers or police senior officers talking. It means that this issue is going to be solved in one way or the other. But I can tell you that in previous years, most of them somehow haven't spoken. And so I would say that, yes, it is true. I mean, training, lack of training, and lack of logistics. And so I am hoping that we can deal with this canker. I mean, you know, CID investigation. Why we have doctors? You cannot be a doctor if you haven't gone to medical school. You cannot be a lawyer if you have not passed, you know, one program or the other. But unfortunately, we have CID investigators who are ill-trained, who probably would have to investigate cases before they go to court. And most often, they don't know what they are doing. Our sins have not, There are about 10, because of lack of time, I might not be able to take you through some of the areas that every investigator should be certified to be able to investigate. We don't have them.
All right.
So that is it.
Okay, we are grateful for your time. Adam Bona is a security expert discussing the issue of a recent Kobenya armed gang attack that claimed the life of Chief Inspector Asilevi, which would have been prevented if investigators knew their job. Well, that is the matter on the ground. But we would continue with this issue regarding the police service and matters of training. Let's talk about health and blood. The blood bank in the Techiman Holy Family Hospital is without blood stock. All blood groups are empty except blood reserved for only critical cases. Medical Director of the hospital, Dr. Ernest Tamayao, is worried about the lack of blood stock at the blood bank since the hospital periodically faces critical cases requiring blood transfusion.
The hospital uses 500 to 100 pints of blood in emergency cases daily. The medical director of the hospital, Dr. Ernest Tamayao, noted that this excludes those on normal admission and recently delivered mothers who may need additional blood transfusion. Dr. Ernest Tamayao also noted that cases reported exceeds the hospital's resources. He pleaded for extra capacity for...
If somebody is bleeding heavily, yes, you may give infusions, but what you require is blood. So you may have to then get somebody whose blood group is compatible. And if you are fortunate to get, you transfuse. But if you are not, unfortunately, something can happen. It can be fatal.
The administrator of the Techiman Holy Family Hospital, Christopher Abonab, blamed the blood shortages at the facility on the number of accident cases reported to the hospital.
All accident victims, or most accident victims, often have to be referred to this place for care. Unfortunately, many of these are travelers who probably don't even come from the immediate vicinity of the hospital. And nearly every accident victim is rushed to a hospital from the start as a pauper because he would have lost all his valuables. Every form of identification is lost. And so you cannot even ask, how are you going to pay?
Meanwhile, MTN, as part of its Chocolate Day blood donation exercise, has donated 400 pints of blood to the hospital.
And talking about finding solutions to stock the blood bank, Media General Group is organizing a blood donation exercise in aid of the Kolebu and 37 blood banks. Now, it is still going on. If you have plans at home of joining us here at the forecourt of TV3, you're welcome. But my colleague, Catherine Frimpoma, who is at the forecourt of TV3, where the exercise is taking place, is standing by to feed us on how far the blood donation exercise is going. Catherine.
Thank you very much, Nanepia, and coming to you right here at the forecourt of TV3, where the Save a Life blood donation exercise is ongoing. We started in the morning. A host of people have passed through, donated blood. The exercise is still ongoing, and so if you're watching us from home, please try and join us here and donate blood to save a life. I have with me a rep from the 37 Military Hospital to update us on how the exercise has gone so far. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Good.
How is the exercise going?
So far, it's going smooth. Yes.
What about the patronage? Are we seeing people? I saw a lot of people here in the morning.
Yes, we are having a lot of people coming in, but then we cannot have more than enough. So we will urge everyone to also come in and then give to save a life.
Why is this exercise so important? Why should anybody bother to come around and donate some blood?
Let me say one thing. Blood is one product that cannot be manufactured. It cannot be bought from a pharmacy shop. And in as much as there are accidents, there are emergencies, and we need blood to save life. So we always rely on people to donate. Either they are donating voluntarily or they are donating to replace blood that has been given. But in whichever case, they still need to donate. So we can never have more than enough donations
voluntary blood donation, I'm aware, has been very minimal in the country for the past years. But I think for some time now, there's been a lot of public education on the need to voluntarily donate blood. How is the situation currently?
Currently, we can say that it's improved, but then we can still do better. Now people walk in voluntarily to donate blood. People don't wait for organizations like TV3 to organize Save a Life programs for them to donate. They walk in, some come and say, oh, I'm due. It's been 4 months, I'm due. So they come in and they donate. But then we are still appealing to the general public that if you have the opportunity, we cannot force people to donate blood. You need to walk in and say, I'm willing to donate blood. Then it is our duty to check and be sure whether you can or cannot.
And what does it cost to donate blood?
It's free.
Free of charge?
Yes, you just walk in and then you donate. And we'll give you a token. We'll give you a token of appreciation. We'll give you a card, which becomes a reference point. You can call in any day with your card and say, oh, I'm a voluntary donor. I need blood for a relative, and you'll be attended to.
Wow. So if you're a voluntary donor and you need blood at any point, you wouldn't have to pay for it?
No, you don't pay for blood. What happens is that it costs us to screen and to test the blood, testing for hepatitis, HIV, and then the compatibility testing we do. That is what you pay for. But then to donate or to be given blood is virtually free.
All right, thank you very much. Some people have a lot of perceptions about donating blood. Some say it's painful and all that, but I have someone who just went through the process to tell us how it was. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How do you feel?
I'm cool. Yes.
What did you go through to donate blood?
Oh, just went to the table, they take my some few telephone numbers and stuff, and just came in.
Take you through any screening?
Me through screening, they check my BP, and then that is all.
Was it painful?
It's not painful at all.
Are you sure?
It's not painful at all.
And then after donating, how do you feel? Do you feel dizzy? Because people think that when they draw your blood, you feel weak, you feel dizzy. How do you feel now after donating?
Oh, I'm not feeling anything at all, Mimi. Yes, because I've sacked myself well before coming. So
you done it before?
Oh, this is my 5th time over here.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. We have another person who also went through the process. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Have you donated before?
No, this is my first time.
Wow. So how was the experience?
It was very cool. I'm okay. I don't feel like dizzy or something. I'm okay.
So with your experience today, would you encourage anybody to donate blood?
Oh, yes, of course. I'll tell my friends to come and donate blood. It's okay.
What's your name?
My name is Ibrahim.
Right. So that was Ibrahim who also went through the process. There are people here who are currently undergoing the process. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
How's the feeling like going through the process?
It is okay. Everything is okay. It is just normal. Everything is normal.
Is it painful?
No, not at all.
Do you feel dizzy?
Nah, not at all.
Do you feel weak?
Not at all. I'm just okay. Yeah.
Okay, so that was it for you. People going through the process effortlessly. They said it's not painful. They don't feel weak. They don't feel dizzy. But when you come here, there are some processes you go through. There are various stages that you go through before you eventually get to the bed where you are screened. Let's now get some education as to why some people are rejected for donating. Hello, sir. Yes. So educators, I wanted to donate, but I was denied. What does it take for somebody to be denied the opportunity to donate blood?
Okay, thank you. So, in blood donation, there are two main things that we look at. The first thing we are looking at is the safe blood, the safety of the blood that we are donating. Then the second thing we look at is the safety of the donor. Now, we don't want to endanger the donor by taking your blood. So we'll take you through a screening process. There are a series of questions we ask you and a series of physical assessment that our nurses will do.
At the first table, I was bounced.
I guess the first question failed you.
I guess so.
So, for ladies, we want to be sure that you are not in your monthly cycle, because then it will mean that you'll be doing a double donation. Yes. And then if you're on medication, we will not be able to take your blood. It means that you are not fully fit. We'll take your blood after your treatment. And for ladies, you can come back 10 to 12 days after your menses, you can come.
So if you're currently menstruating, you can't do it?
No, we
if you're
don't advise.
breastfeeding, can you do it?
No, we don't advise.
If you're pregnant, can you do it?
Not at all.
So it looks like the women are at the disadvantaged position. But what about the men? What disqualifies a man from donating?
Perhaps the person might be on medication. Yes. And then for men, mostly you have BP issues. Yes. Maybe challenges of life gets our BPs go up. So we check your BP. You need to have a normal BP because we are taking the blood. The heart is pumping the blood. We are taking readings from the heart. So if the BPs are too high, then we are suspecting the heart, so we can't take your blood.
All right. Thank you very much. That was some education for us. But if you're watching us and you're a lady, you are not menstruating, you are not breastfeeding, you are not pregnant, you are not on any medication, and you are fit, please try and join us here at the forecourt of TV3 and donate some blood. Wherever you are, just walk in. It is free of charge. You don't pay anything. You are actually appreciated for donating blood. The blood you donate today may save a life tomorrow. Even your own very life, you may never know. But it doesn't cost anything. All it takes is your goodwill to come around and donate. The exercise is still ongoing. We are ending at about 5 p.m. and so you can come in at any time and donate. Thank you very much. And over to you, Nanekia, in the studio.
Right, Catherine, thank you for that update. And I'm sure you've killed all my fears here as I stand talking about the pain and uneasiness. And I think I'm eligible. So right after here, at 1, I will be at the forecourt and I'm waiting for you watching at home to also join me. Let's donate blood to save a life. Let's still stay on issues of health because the embattled medical director of the Ankerfall Psychiatric Hospital, Dr. Eugene Dodoye, was on Friday, February 16, removed following a decision at an emergency meeting by the Health Ministry. Public Relations Officer of the Ministry, Robert Kujo, said a new director will be named next week.
For months, staff of the hospital have been up in arms with the medical director, whose administration they alleged had put them in emotional and psychological stress. Nurses and physician assistants of the hospital on February 14 stayed away from work to press home their demand for Dr. Dodoye to be removed on claims of mismanagement and gross disrespect to staff. The workers failed to honor a meeting scheduled by the Health Ministry to resolve their grievances. The Public Relations Officer of the Sector Ministry, Robert Kujo, said his removal was to promote serene industrial climate.
Doctor, his demeanor, it's not one of somebody who's happy going, but well, we can't do otherwise than to ask him to at least be away for a while, whilst we ask somebody to act. I don't think it's going to be long. Maybe by a week time, Dr. Dodoye has to hand over, and by that time we'd have appointed a new person.
He said a new director will be named next week.
A new person is being brought on board to act whilst he undergoes some sort of training.
Dodoye goes under some sort of
Yes, Dodoye goes through certain training, hoping that his management style will change.
Dr. Dodoye is expected to undertake 3 months training in management and leadership, after which he will be assessed.
And it's not like we're training him to go back. What we're saying is after training, he'll be assessed. That doesn't mean he will go there before he be assessed. I mean, we can use any means to assess him, and we'll come to a conclusion whether he should go there again or he should maybe transferred to another place.
Meanwhile, the agitating staff of the hospital have expressed their joy over the decision by the Health Ministry. On the strike, the chairman of the local psychiatric nurses group, Daniel Danso-Sapon, said the group would only resume work if it receives official communication from the Ministry of the removal of the medical director.
I will remain on this developing story. Secretary for the Psychiatric Nurses at the Anchor Falls Psychiatric Hospital, Malcolm Ali, joins me on phone. Malcolm, good afternoon. Grateful for your time.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so the Ministry of Health has finally removed Dr. Dodoye. Are you pleased now?
Not entirely.
Why?
Because we are saying that we cannot work with the man. And then what we are hearing now, I mean, they are saying that he's been removed, he's been sacked. On the other hand, the PRO said he's been given some few months to take refresher courses and then assess and then probably bring him back. What we are saying is that the man has vowed never to change. We all remember that October last year, the Minister for Health gave him 3-month probation. And during the 3-month probation, our director, former director, has even done things worse. He reported to the Elmina police station, accusing 3 of our staff here, who are actually executives of our group, that they went to rob the hospital accountant in the night. And then when they went there, they asked of him, the hospital director. Subsequently, he went to church and then gave testimonies that the nurses came to rob the armed robber and asked for him, but they couldn't succeed. So this is the person we are talking about. So we believe that the issue has been left to fester far too long, that we have hurt each other's ego to the extent that forgiveness will take a very long time.
Well,
Malcolm, we cannot ready to work with him.
Malcolm, you make a statement that the man is not ready to change. He's been given 3 months the chance to do a training program or something. Why would you say he's not ready to change? There's attitudinal change. There's always room for change. So why would you give him that opportunity?
He comes, he be assigned to a new environment where he would have a new ground to take and a new people to deal with. So
tell us, what really are you expecting? Malcolm, what are you expecting from this new person who will be named next week as the acting director? What different thing do you want to see as a team?
We just don't want anybody who would be like our former director. We are ready to work with anybody.
Okay. Now tell us, why did you refuse to attend the meeting on Friday with the Health Ministry?
We had a call in the evening. In fact, we've been to Accra 6 times. The minister, as the father of the house, have never set foot here even a single day. So we pleaded with him that we would want him to come. Even our people want to see him. So we pleaded with him that for once he should come.
We'll end it here, Malcolm Ali. Thank you for your time. Secretary for the Psychiatric Nurses at the Anchor Falls Psychiatric Hospital, Malcolm Ali, who still seems not pleased, even though their director has been asked to stay away. Well, you're watching Midday Live. We'll return with some business and sports. You would want to stay with us right here. We'll be right back. Midday Live. Thanks for staying with us. Let's look at some more stories before we delve into business. And CEO of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Samuel Yao Ano, has admitted the scheme is facing financial constraints. Speaking on TV3's Current Affairs program Agenda, he said the authority is consulting stakeholders to discuss possible ways of improving the finances of the authority.
yes, the scheme is collapsing. As an insurance scheme, you're supposed to have some reserves because you're supposed to insure the health of your people and you buy the health from service providers. Just in case, God forbid, something happens and a lot of people fall sick, maybe some virus sweeps through the country, and the service providers are forced to look after this mass people who are flooding through their gates for healthcare, you'll have to have reserves. That's why we stipulate that any health insurance of our nature should have a minimum of 6 months reserve. Now, to date, we have 0 reserves.
Interesting. How did that happen?
We don't have the reserves.
How did that happen?
Well, that is purely because we set up a certain financing model of 2.5% VAT and 2.5% Senate. To date, those two constitutes about 95% of all funds used.
And they are not enough.
Not enough, because if you look at the number of members who are on the scheme now, we peaked about 11.4 million, now we're down to about 10.5. So if you average it, even 10.5 or 11 million, you have 11 million members. The financing model brings us maybe 1.1, 1.2 billion cedis a year. So if you look at it, everyone is entitled to probably just about 110 cedis for a whole year. That works in terms of international figures to about less than $30 per person per whole year. It is recommended that to provide basic care, you would need about $86 per person per whole year. We are doing under $30.
Yes, sir.
Because according to the laws we work with now, the service providers have 3 months to submit to us claims of members they have seen. And then we also have 3 months to vet the claims and then decide to pay and how much to pay. So you can see that already, according to the arrangement, you have a 6 months delay gap, which should not be. Because ideally, if we are on an electronic platform, we should be able to communicate with them the same time they see our member, verify the membership, verify the diagnosis, verify the treatment. Government side, the government is currently giving us 2.5% VAT. We also advocating that that should be increased from 2.5% to 3.5%. We're also asking government to look at our cash inflow from the oil revenue. Can we get a certain percentage of it into our single most important item now, which is our health, maybe 5% of the oil revenue? And then critical thing which we've been discussing as we go around the country is a health tax.
Let's do business now.
Segment is brought to you by
And President Akufo-Addo, in his State of the Nation address, indicated that there has been a change in the macroeconomy, which will soon be felt by the public. But the lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Lord Mensah, disputed this in an interview, saying the fiscal gains recorded by the government will take some time to reflect in the standard of living.
After a progressive fiscal year, with the government recording macroeconomic gains and an improvement in key macro indices, Ghanaians on the street are not feeling a reflection of these gains. People on the streets are questioning the real state of the economy.
Things are very bad. There's no money in our pockets.
We are not making any sales, and the city task force keep harassing us. Dr. Lord Mensah explains that change will be gradual and Ghanaians need to be patient.
The businessman that you expect him to reduce his items on the market in the next 1 week or next 2 weeks for you to fill it in your pocket, that businessman bought those items, into a stock or inventory, and those times the price were high. So you don't expect him to reduce the price consistently. If those micro indicators keeps on going down, we can feel it maybe in the medium term. Let's talk about 1 year or 2 years' time.
He is confident that with the steady macroeconomic gains and prudent management of other indicators, the standard of living will eventually improve for everyone.
We'll return with sports after this. Stay with us. This is Midday Live. Let's do international news now. President Donald Trump says his election campaign did nothing wrong as the FBI brought charges against 13 Russians for alleged election meddling. Special counsel Robert Mueller also named 3 companies in the indictment, seen as a major development his continuing probe into the 2016 poll. 3 other people named have also been accused of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and 5 have been accused of aggravated identity theft. Russia denies trying to sway the poll. In a tweet on Friday evening, Trump repeated that there had been no collusion between his campaign and Russia. And pressure is mounting on the FBI over the agency's failure to act on a tip that Florida school shooting suspect Nicolas Cruz might carry out an attack. Florida Governor Rick Scott said the agency's director must resign, while Attorney General Jeff Sessions ordered a review lamenting FBI failures. Some of those close to the 17 victims of Wednesday's shooting also voiced dismay at the FBI's actions. President Donald Trump on Friday met survivors at the attack in Parkland. President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump visited a hospital and later the local sheriff's office, thanking them for their response to the tragedy. We're having entertainment news now.
Entertainment news is brought to you by
And season 9 of Talented Kids has been launched with 24 finalists introduced to kickstart this year's event. It's going to be another 13 weeks of captivating performances starting from Sunday, February 18.
Talented children have been selected to participate in the season 9 of Talented Kids. It's going to be another 13 weeks of captivating performances from the contestants. Beatrice Ajiman Abe is General Manager, MGTV.
I welcome you all to the internal launch of Talented Kids Season 9. As a business media general, parent company of TV3 FM, Onua FM, Connect FM, Akoma FM, and 3news.com, has consistently demonstrated its commitment to provide a platform to grow young people and empower them through the Talented Kids program.
Who takes over from Erica Tanda, popularly known as DJ Switch, crowned the winner of the season 8. Season 9 promises to be exciting after outstanding performances in the auditions. Sponsors are elated about this year's event.
We want to associate Sandra Ice Cream with Talented because it is a family program. And we are proud to do so because over the years we've not regretted being a sponsor of Sandra of Talented Kids with our brand.
I'm Ochoi, and I'm also Marcia Obianchua, and together we are Double M. Wherever you are, remember me.
Alright, so for more duets like these and more talent, it's happening here tomorrow, Sunday. And make sure you bring your kids here to have fun at the maiden edition of Talented Kids. Well, it's happening at the Junction Mall tomorrow, Sunday. But remember, you can get more news updates on our website. It's 3news.com. Also, right from here, I'm moving to the forecourt of TV3. Join me. Let's donate blood to save a life. My name is Nanipia Mensah Brampa. Enjoy your lunch and have a good afternoon.